Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really socking the ball. Knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering, they're cheering, and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell! Give 'em a hand! And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really socking the ball. Knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Of New York town.
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host. And here we are live again from New York City, the whole hole that is New York City. And we're going to go live for a little bit. Now, please like this video and, of course, subscribe. If you want to participate in the chat, you got to subscribe. And I read the chat, and you never feel left out here. We'll get into it. Hello, Leon. Hello, Nelson Cruz. John Bass. Stephen Bunting. So, what are we going to talk about? All right. I'll get into a question from John Bass. Is Nelson Cruz a Met? That would be great. He's 40-something years old. I would stay away from him. He didn't play well. He didn't hit well when he was in Tampa Bay the last 2 months. I'd stay away from him. You know. I mean, the Mets got enough guys that can DH. They could DH JD Davis. They could DH anyway. Um, I don't think I would do that, in my view. But that's just my opinion. So obviously, the big news this past week was the Mets made official and they hired Buck Showalter, and I think everybody's very excited about that. I know I am, and I predicted it a couple of months ago that he was going to be the manager of this team, and he brings a lot of things to that office. One of the things he gives him a lot of credibility. You don't have to worry about the Mets playing through the motions. They're not going to be through the. Now they may get tired of him because teams have gotten tired of him in the past, specifically in Arizona. But he's a guy that brings in a lot of credibility. You don't have to worry about him screwing up the lineup. He's not going to make a fool out of himself with the media. He's not going to threaten the media. He's not going to be, there's not going to be like no energy in that dugout like there was with Louis Rojas. There was no energy with Louis, and but one of the things I want to mention is this thing with Lindor, Francisco Lindor. Uh, when he was with the Rangers, he got there, and A Rod was the big player there. He played 1 year for A Rod. He played 1 year for Buck Showalter, and Buck sent him packing. So that tells you a lot. The Buck's not afraid to take on the big player on the team. Now, if Lindor can't cut it here, um, Buck is going to figure that out. He's going to figure out if he can play here, and if he can't, he will push Cohen to get rid of him. He'll push Epler to get rid of him. Uh, also, also, Lindor has played for big managers. He played for a long time, Terry Francona. So he's used to big managers that are sort of fat that take up space in the room. Luis Rojas does not take any space up in any room at any point in time this past year. So we will see. That will be the biggest test for this season coming up for 2022 is how Lindor will react to having um, a better manager, a manager that has some gravitas, has great energy. That we will see. That's a very interesting thing over the past few years. He's had big players and he's made players better. He's the guy that put Mariano Rivera in the bullpen. He's a guy that helped Bernie Williams become a star. Um, a very key guy in terms of he was able to bring in Randy Johnson to be on his pitching staff, and he also made the Tart Schilling trade. Very interestingly enough, but we're going to say, but a couple of names to look out for with the Met coaching staff. Believe it or not, one of them is Carlos Beltran, who the owner really loves him. He was very excited about the Mets naming him manager 2 years ago. So he was very, very happy about that. Unfortunately, Beltran lied to the Mets and he got himself fired. Unfortunately. 44 years old. People are going to say, well, why would the Mets do that? Well, they still have to take into consideration that the Mets are going to be have Buck as manager for 3 years. You don't know what's going to happen after 3 years. So that'll be a guy they can keep in mind on. That could be in the dugout. A couple other names here. One guy for bench coaches. Some of these guys I don't know. John Russell, the bench coach. I think he's 60. Brian Butterfield has been around. I guess he'll be like the third base coach and field coach. We'll see. Wayne Kirby, who I've mentioned a few times. Jim Presley would be considered. That's a name bouncing around. Hitting coach. The only position the Mets have in terms of the coaching staff is Jeremy Hefner. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. He's did an okay job this past year. The bullpen pitched really well. So he does have a lot of success behind him. And as you know, that's important. You got to show some kind of sense of success. You can't be a guy that coming in here and you're on a bad team and you say, well, he's a winner. Oh, the team's not good and he's not playing great. Um, when the games are on the line, that's an issue. He's not a winner. But Hefner did a pretty good job. But all right, let me get into this thing with Trevor's story. And the reason I bring up Trevor's story is I got this article, and this is about Jeff McNeil. Big rumors coming out this past week about Jeff McNeil. The Mets are thinking about trading him. There's also talk that the Mets are going to trade also Dom Smith. That the belief is that he's just not good enough. That he's just not good enough. He's not as good of a first baseman as his reputation is. That he's an okay first baseman, he's an average first baseman, but that the thing is that he just doesn't hit enough. He's not Pete Alonso, that's for sure. So in all likelihood, he's probably going to get moved. Believe it or not. So I got this article from Sports Illustrated. Let's go back up. Sources: Mets intend to make Jeff McNeil available on trading block after the lockout. Sources: the Mets intend on making Jeff McNeil available on the trading block after the lockout ends. How interesting. Let's take this down. This will start playing. Over the course of his first 3 seasons in the big leagues, Mets second baseman utility man Jeff McNeil produced an impressive career slash of 319, 383, 501, and 884. And in 2021, a number of Mets hitters struggled immensely, including McNeil slash just, you see it right there. Now, once the lockout ends, the Mets intend on making McNeil available on the trade block with their sights set on acquiring pitching help and return, as multiple sources told Inside the Mets on Thursday. And I'll go run through a couple of teams. One was mentioned by John Heyman. We got a whole bunch of teams that would be looking for a left-handed bat and or middle infield help. Let's see. Although McNeil's underwhelming performance last season was an outlier based off his overall track record, the Mets have made a significant effort to improve the culture of the team, which is why they signed a group of veteran players this winter that are known for being good clubhouse guys in Max Scherzer, Starlin Marte, Eduardo Escobar, and Mark Anya. Last year, McNeil was involved in an early season dust-up with Francisco Lindor over a misplayed ground ball up the middle. This, of course, resulted in the infamous rat raccoon. But here's what happened. And the article says this. The Mets wanted McNeil to play more in the shift, and he wasn't doing that. And Lindor kept telling him, look, you got to move over. And he's like, so he tells him this. This is from this article. It's from the New York Post. The New York Post reported on this. This is about the sort of the kerfluffle they had in the tunnel. This led to now ex-manager Louis Rojas quietly benching McNeil sometime in May. It also caused Lindor to hit his boiling point. As the Post said, McNeil would tell his double play partner to shut up, and I got it after being advised on where to be positioned. That's not what you wanted to hear when you were dealing with a coworker. That is not a good line to hear. You don't want to be told by one of your coworkers to shut up that you know what you're doing. Yeah. This did not sit well with McNeil's teammates and has still yet to be resolved. According to multiple sources, his relationship with several members of the roster has soured over the past year. However, sources say this is not a driving force in why the team is open to trade him. A source close to the situation says the Mets have received a substantial amount of calls from other clubs regarding McNeil's availability because teams value his talent and he is under cheap control for the next 3 seasons. McNeil, Dom Smith, and J.D. Davis all endured disappointing campaigns last year, but McNeil would draw the biggest return and trade for the Mets, which is why the team is listening to calls on him. This is like a really big article. This goes into a lot of different names. But here's the thing about McNeil. The thing about McNeil is that um, he's not. I'm very surprised that he's not better at short. I mean, at second base. I thought he'd be much better this past season playing second base than he actually was. Uh, and I was very disappointed in his play. He was very disappointed in his play. So I was very disappointed in his play. He should have played much better for the Mets than he did. Uh, um, One of these players that he's got a good bat, but for some reason, why he was hitting 250 makes no sense. Like I said, he did not have good spring training last year. Not that that means anything, but it sort of uh, went into the season where it was bad. So people in the chat are talking about Garrett Crochet. Let me take a look on the site now. Why would the White Sox trade him? If he is a beast, is this another Byron Buxton deal where a couple YouTubers are talking about him? Why would they trade him? He's 22 years old. Okay, he's not getting traded. He's not getting traded. The White Sox would be crazy to trade him. Aaron says, let me read a couple of them. Aaron says, name to look out for Garrett Crochet. But here's the thing he's not going anywhere. He's 22 years old. He's under team control. If he's a beast, why would the White Sox move him? Yeah, that's not happening. Sorry. Are you kidding me? Says Mcneil for Chapman. Again, another guy. Why would you trade Jeff McNeil for a guy that can't hit? And here's the thing about the A's. The A's are moving people that are in their arbitration. They're eligible for arbitration. McNeil's up for arbitration this year. So they would not be interested. We'll get into some of the I guess we'll get into some of the teams because they got a bunch of teams here that just through elimination going through some of the names here. And these interesting names. Let me just get back to the article real quick. After Baez bolted for the Tigers in free agency, McNeil is currently projected to be the Mets' starting second baseman in 2022. But the double play combination between McNeil and Lindor didn't go so smoothly last year, and it's difficult to envision the Mets trying to make it work again. And Buck mentioned during his press conference that there was a problem with the clubhouse, that there was a lot of addition by subtraction kind of situation. Starting pitcher. Oh, okay. Let me get into some of these teams that I was talking about. Uh, the White Sox. Uh, the White Sox. John Heyman mentioned them. Now you mentioned that in the chat. They seem like a great fit, but he's 22 years old. Why would they trade him? They're not trading per se. I'll throw a couple bunch of names here and team names. The Royals. I noticed that Whit Merrifield has 1 year left on his contract, and I don't think he'll be re-signing with the Royals. I would think he'll probably get moved during the season. Once we get our season going, I could see him getting moved. So I don't see that happening. But that would be an interesting trade. Mcneil for Whit Merrifield. Uh, the Blue Jays, they're always looking for I know they're looking for another lefty bat. A lot of the stuff that I've looked up on the last day, because I looked all this stuff up yesterday, was that these teams need left-handed hitters. They need infield help, um, and we'll see. But the Blue Jays have been in on all these players and stuff. The Mariners, who've had an interesting, have had an interest in Jeff McNeil in the past. So if there's interest in a player, you can damn well know that they would be interested in Jeff McNeil, especially if they've been interested in him before. So that would definitely be a team to keep an eye out for. The Chicago Cubs, they don't really have a second baseman. They don't really have a third baseman. So that's a team to keep an eye on. The Angels, maybe. So really, some of these teams got to be careful with if you're the New York Mets in terms of what you're going to get back in return. Lefty, we should go with a six-man rotation to protect the rotation on a diminished bullpen. That's not happening. You think Max Scherzer's going to want to go like every 6 days? I don't think so. That's a big fallacy. Let me tell you something. That doesn't make a big difference. These guys get enough rest during the season. They're only going to go a line with 5-6 innings. They can handle the workload. A six-man rotation is like a unicorn. It's not going to happen. Hello, Matthew Landau. You think Mauricio Mcneil is enough for Castillo? I don't see them picking up Mcneil. I see Mauricio as part of a package for Castillo, but McNeil, nah, he's got arbitration. These teams that are moving some of these players, they don't want anything to do with these arbitration players. They just don't. Like the A's, the Reds, if they're trading pitching, they don't want to bring in guys that are they're going to have to go to arbitration with. They want players that they can keep under control. That's why I don't see this White Sox situation happening. Let me get back to our starting pitchers. Sherman and Chris Bassett simultaneously ended the final year of their deals with the Oakland A's. Like I said, with Merrifield again, keep an eye on him with the Mets. Because I could definitely see that kind of a trade happening. The Mets would have to give up a little bit more. Maybe the Mets would have to give up a prospect. Maybe Ronnie Mauricio. Maybe somebody lower than those guys. Maybe Alex Ramirez, just to use him as an example. Here we go. And Chris Bassett is simultaneously entering the final of deals with the Oakland A's, who believe to be on the verge of slashing payroll once the work stoppage is over. Beyond the A's, the Reds are another club that could cut costs later this winter, and Castillo is the most attractive name in their rotation. Castillo will likely cost more in assets and trade, given that he has 2 more years of arbitration left in 2022 and 2023. So, what does that mean? That means that right now Castillo's price will be a little bit high. Now, he did not have a good year last year. Keep that keep that in mind. He did not have a good year at all. So his value might not be where it should be if he'd been pitching well. So they're not going to get the kind of value they think they probably deserve for him because he's been an ace and he's not pitched well. As for bringing in a big bat, I missed it. On the relief front, Mike Poon with the Post previously reported that the Mets had eyes on Twins left-handed Taylor Rogers. Rogers, 31, is entering his final year of arbitration and is set to make $6.25 million next season. The Southpaw has closing experience and has a potential fit as a late inning arm due to the departure of Aaron Loup. Keep an eye on Rogers. Keep an eye on Andrew Miller with the Mets. Keep an eye on and keep an eye on the hell's his name? Andrew Chafin. Also keep an eye, unfortunately, on Brad Hand. I am not a big fan of Brad Hand. After watching him now, after watching him for the last month or so of this past season, there was nothing about him that impressed me at all. I thought that the Mets brought him in basically to fill out the bullpen, but I didn't think he was that good from what I saw. Too nervous, too much of John Franco in him. You know, a complete total nervous wreck. Constant guys, constant getting on, balls falling in, bad defense. Stay the hell away from him. All right, we don't need to see another guy like that. Um, so that doesn't really interest me. To get to Aaron Loop, I want to mention this too. Um, the Mets have done a good job of getting rid of some of the sort of dead weight that was in that clubhouse. Baez is gone. Now I'm talking about dead weight in terms of in the clubhouse. Lindor, Don Betances. Well, he really wasn't there that much. Jerice Familia, although there is rumors that the Mets would re-sign him. They really do like him. They've let Noah Syndergaard walk. They've let Michael Conforto walk. I mean, he's not picked up a team yet. Jonathan Villar. Other than early on, we haven't heard any kind of rumors the Mets want to bring him back. So they basically got rid of a lot of people. And obviously, Javi Baez, he's gone. But him and his thumbs down, he's gone. So they've done a good job in bringing in, getting rid of these bad actors and bringing in good players. Now, Aaron Loop had one of the best seasons of any reliever of all time. He had a great season. But you have to ask yourself why the Mets didn't even seem to offer him a contract. Now, as you know, when he would have like one of these big performances after a game, you come out with the butt, you had the butt out there and talking. But you wonder what was going on with him in the clubhouse that the Mets just let him walk. But since they've gone out of their way to rebuild that clubhouse. So it makes me wonder maybe the Mets just sort of say, we don't need this guy here. He's done well, but you know what? Just move on. That might be that situation. And that's what it seems to me. But that's how I look at it. I don't know what you all think, but that's how I look at it. It's unfortunate they let him walk, let him go to the Angels. How many more Mets are the Angels going to pick up? Hello, Andrew. Hello, Anthony. I'd rather trade for Bumgarner than Gray, who stunk in New York once already, or the A's guys on their work year. What's the price for Bumgarner? Is the thing about Bumgarner, I don't know how much he has left, to be honest with you. I don't get that, to be honest with you. But I don't see Bumgarner getting anything. They're not going to have to give up anything. Any team that wants to pick him up, it's not going to cost much. The guy just doesn't have it yet. Has it anymore. This guy used to have it. He didn't have it anymore. I think a lot of it has to do with that injury that he had a few years back. I wouldn't think it would be that high of a price. Well, John Gray, if you mentioned John Gray, I guess you mean Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray got to be careful with. He's got a lot of problems, especially in New York. I would not mind bringing him in here because then I could sort of put him at the back end of my rotation. I look at him as a middle to back end of the rotation guy at this point. That's what I think. The A's guys, again, the Mets have to be very careful with dealing with 4 teams: the Angels, the A's, the Indians, Guardians, whatever the hell they call themselves, and the Mariners, because the Mets have always been burned by these 4 teams. So let's make any trades with the A's. They have to be very careful that they don't get burnt. None of these pitchers that are there, the value is not what you would think to where you'd want to get up Mauricio, now, Louise Castillo is a little bit different. Louise Castillo, I can see the Mets giving up Mauricio for him. These other guys, no. Nope. Thank you. From Lefty, Sonny Gray hangs out with Bauer. No, please. I didn't even know that Bauer had any friends. Bauer's got friends? Sonny Gray hangs out with him? Ugh. He should re-examine who he's hanging out with. Anthony the cat, just Anthony. You think we could do a problem for problem trade involving Cano, such as a barrel, for example, or someone else's problem? Just an example, I doubt it. If they're trying to clean up that clubhouse, I don't see them. Here's the thing about Cano: he's not a problem in the clubhouse. Yeah, and Barron was not getting moved. Barron was not. He might not pitch next year. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Because we got this investigation. He should have been charged already. You have all these charges, so that they're talking to him and not talking to him. He should have been charged already, or not charged. Either he did something terrible to this woman, or he didn't. If he didn't, let him walk. If he did, he needs to go and spend some time in jail and have to go through the system. You know, if he was any other schlub like anybody in this chat or myself, he'd be in jail already. He'd be rotting in jail. That's for sure. But the mentions about Cano. Cano is not a bad clubhouse guy. In fact, he's a bit of a leader. You know. Anthony says, I just used Barrow as an example. It was more, can we trade Cano for another team's problem? Do you want another team's problem? Here's the thing about Cano. If he starts hitting, then you know why. That means he's doing the stuff again. If he's doing the stuff again, he'll get kicked out of baseball forever, and Mets won't be responsible for any of his money that's on the payroll over the next few years. I don't know what happens. I guess insurance picks up that money. I don't even know, but we'll see. Let's see. But getting to Trevor's story, we're going to get back to this article. Let's see. So we talk about Bryant a lot. As for bringing a big bat, first to third base, and Kris Bryant's named that, the Mets showed interest in prior to the CBA expiring on December 2nd. By signing Bryant, Escobar would likely be pushed over to second, forming a new double play partnership with Lindor. And Bryant's bat would provide a strong presence in the middle of the Mets lineup as well. Now, as you know, the Mets lineup has gotten better. I don't know how much better. Can they get on base a little bit more, and can they drive in runs? Driving runs is the number one thing here. Shortstop Trevor Story is another highly regarded option that's available via free agency, and scouts told New Jersey Advanced Media recently that he projects as a future second baseman due to previous elbow strain issues, which could make him a fit defensively. If he moves to second, it will diminish the wear and tear on his throwing elbow at short. Now, I saw this and my eyes lit up because I've been talking about Story for months, since the summer. And he would do a good job defensively. He would do a good job offensively. He'd be really good. And then, the only problem, with bringing in Trevor Story is that you'd have to give up a draft pick. Now the Mets gained a draft pick when they lost Noah Syndergaard, and they'll gain another one when they lose Michael Conforto. Also, Michael Conforto's not on this team either. I was thinking about this today, or a couple days ago, about Conforto. Conforto has been in this clubhouse for how many years? And did you ever feel like he was really a leader on the team? No. He's always sort of can get out of his way in terms of getting on base, in terms of getting big hits. He's always striking out, always hitting double plays, get hit by pitches, walks. Never remember him getting any big hits. From Nicole Wood, hey, Hut, remember I told you a month ago Castillo's coming to Queens? Well, he has not come here yet. But the rumor is that the Mets want to move one of their prospects for him. From Anthony, this was mentioned, Clayton Kershaw. If the money was the same, Rondon or Kershaw? Well, One pitcher is going to the Hall of Fame, and the other pitcher is not. So it is not equal. The money will not be equal. Okay, the money is not equal with those two. So that is not a very good comparison at all. Just bringing that up. Should the Mets bring in Kershaw? I don't know. Mets be better bringing Rodon, at least on a 1 year deal. You bring him on a 1 year deal or a 2 year deal. He had a bit of an injury last year, even though he pitched well. That would be kind of the fair thing to do. But I don't think Kershaw has much left. He should just stay in Los Angeles. And the Dodgers kind of did him a favor. They didn't pick up. They don't think that any team would pick him up if he's got a draft pick attached to him because of his injuries over the last few years. Um, a lot of wear and tear on that arm. So, but I think there's probably a good chance he'll probably go to Texas or Houston. Because he's from there, and I think that's a pretty good fit. From Nicole, what do you think is a realistic trade for Castillo? I haven't given much thought on what the kind of things that the Reds need. I think it would be fair that the starting point would be Mauricio. Uh, and that would be something interesting. But that it'd be like a 3-for-1 piece, a 3-for-1 deal, or a 4-for-1 deal. The Mets would have to bring in other uh, minor league players. I don't know if you want to do that. I don't know. I mean, once you give up Mauricio, then you kind of like all the you get the second run guys in that trade. I don't know if the Reds would want to do that, especially for a guy as talented as Castillo. Even though the result has not been great, but he is pitching in a very small ballpark. From Leon, what do you think about Mcneil for Kimbrel? Let me take a look at Kimbrel. What from the White Sox? Let me take a look. I know he did not pitch well in um, did not pitch well in Chicago the last 2 months. Craig Campbell. I would point out about Jeff McNeil is 30 years old. Um, he's an older player for the guy that is going to be arbitration eligible this year. So Craig Campbell's 33. Let's look at his year closer. Now, he's pretty dominant with the Cubs. An ERA of 0.49, 23 saves, 36 and 2/3 strikeouts, and 36 and 2/3 innings and 64 strikeouts. Wow. And 13 walks. Wow. Then he got dealt to the White Sox. I don't know why the White Sox made this deal. It was a very strange deal. And it's a very strange deal that the White Sox made when they picked him up. I know they wanted to get a guy that had closing ability, but they signed Liam Hendricks, and Liam had done a great job there. I wish the Mets had picked him up last year. So in 8 games, he pitched. Wow, it was really bad. 23 innings. Wow. He pitched. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. 24 games. Let me see what he did in postseason. A 9 ERA against the Astros. I'd stay away from him. From Nicole, the Reds know they can't resign Castillo. Why wouldn't they want Mcneil and Dom? Well, first of all, Castillo has 2 years left on his contract there. So they're going to want a lot more than Jeff McNeil and Dom Smith. That's not going to, that even with the Mauricio, that is not going to cut it. Because they're cutting payroll. They'd have to give these guys arbitration money. They're not going to do that. They'd want guys that are either gone to the big leagues with less than 1 year or minor leaguers. They're not going to want that. Justin C., are you guys even using Baseball Savant for statistics? I don't know what that is. I'm the savant here. I don't need some website. I don't need some website to tell me what the deal is. It's all up here. It's all up in my pea brain. I have it all here. From Richard. I'd rather trade with the Reds for Castillo than do a trade with Oakland. Have to take on that bum Chapman. I agree with you. That guy can't hit. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. That's a damn sure. He can't hit. Everybody keeps writing, you got him. It's got to get him, but he can't hit. He hit 220. I'd stay the hell away from him. He's a 220 hitter. Stay the hell away from him. I'm hoping the Mets do the right thing. Stay as far away from him as possible. As far away. You don't want any part of him under any circumstances. He's just, I'm not a big fan of that at all. I know we talked about that a lot. I did a couple of videos on him last year on that. But you know what? He can't hit. Guy hit 220. He hit 30. He had 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, but it didn't seem like it was that good. The on base percentage was under 300. I wouldn't make that deal. And besides, you signed Escobar. Escobar wants to play third. So why would you want to make that kind of a move? It's silly. It's really just quite silly. Um, very, very weird. Not really something that really appeals to me, quite frankly. Not at all. Not at all. Now, please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Now, was going to do a live stream, and last night I did a live stream, but really, a little bit of an issue. I was a little tired last night, a little full from all the food. Plus, I felt like maybe I was pushing you to come on to the Baseball Hut too and to do a live stream. So I decided I jumped over to my other channel, Comic Hut too, and did something else. But if you were watching, I'm sorry that you watched or you wanted to watch. I apologize to that. Apologize for that. But we got a long off season. It's going to be a while before the players come back. It's going to be a while before we talk about any kind of moves in terms of trades, free agencies, free agent players. I'm trying my best to bring in stuff because I'd like to do things what's current. I don't want to. Now, I will point out, I made fun of lists, and I have a list. I have a whole bunch of lists here of the greatest players in the history of baseball. I've been watching this this documentary on MLB Network, baseball, which I've watched many times before, but it's gotten me into sort of talking about the old time players again. And I'm thinking about going through this list and maybe talking about it. And I got some interesting names on my list, as opposed to some other lists that I've seen, believe it or not. And I've seen some lists, and the people that talk about it, they know what the hell they're talking about. I had to really dig pretty deeply to figure out some of these guys and go through all these names. But get into that in a minute. But let me just go through a couple other things. So about Trevor Story. Trevor Story. He's 29 years old. And like I said in the article earlier, he's a shortstop. But because of this elbow issue, he's probably considering going over to second base. He's 272 career average, 158 home runs, 450 RBIs. Now, he's been in Colorado, 100 stolen bases. He'd be a guy that could steal some bases for any team. I thought maybe he'd want probably a 6-year deal, which just seems to be fair. It seems to be the going rate for some of these guys. 6 years. People say, well, that's too many years. I've gotten a couple of some brushback from the. I shouldn't read this. From Nicole Wood. Hut, would you ever consider dating a fan? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so I've been on Trevor's story for a couple of months. First of all, you could play him at second. You could probably be okay. These shortstops, they're all good at playing other positions. So he would be a guy that um, I would consider playing him at second. Now they signed Escobar. Escobar does not want to play second. He said that during the press conference that he had, that he wasn't really interested in playing second. That he wanted to play third. So I think that's why they signed him. Whoops. Had a bit of a technical glitch. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. From the Coldwood, you're a smart guy, Hud. Well, I don't know about that. Yeah. I have my moments. The Mets are lucky to have you as a fan. Let me tell you something. I've been very happy about the Mets offseason this year because pretty much all the big moves I wanted the Mets to make, they've made them. I wanted them to bring in Buck Showalter. They brought in Buck. I wanted them to bring in Starlin Marte. They brought in Starlin Marte. I wanted them to bring in Max Scherzer. They brought in Max Scherzer. I don't know if they're watching, but it makes me happy to see that. Oh, I want to mention this. A player that the Mets maybe could consider bringing in, but they probably would have to move one of their prospects, or even Jeff McNeil. Maybe do a straight up deal, or maybe the Mets have to add a little bit more. And that's Ketel Marte from the Diamondbacks. They're so bad; they're going to move all these guys. He's 28 years old, obviously. He's batting average on anybody's batting average now. 70 home runs and 286 RBIs in his career. I think he's got 1 year left on his contract. So he's a guy that's not going to be around too much longer there. He's going to get moved. That's the kind of guy that Mets should consider bringing in here. Um, Obviously, they got to make a trade for him, but that would be a very good player for the Mets to bring in here. Let me just take a quick peek with him on the side. But yeah, he's a free agent after next season. So he'd be a kind of guy that the Mets should consider making some kind of trade for. And he's coming off a 5 year contract. So he's got a contract that's ending after the next season. So he's a free agent going into next season. So he's going to get moved. That I can guarantee you. We'll probably be talking a lot about him. I don't know what kind of clubhouse guy he is. 287 career batting average. He had 318 this past year on a bad team. Let me just take a quick peek on his postseason because they've been to postseason. Uh, Very good postseason player. From lefty, Jesse Winkler on the Reds would be a dream. I don't see that happening with the Mets. No. The Mets are fine with their outfield. The Mets would need to get a. The Mets would need to find themselves another, probably like a lefty bat that could complement Kanya. That's really what they need to do. That's the kind of guy they need to do to bring in here a fourth outfielder. Brett Gardner, man, he's done. I saw that article a couple weeks ago. I mentioned it. Brett Gardner's washed up. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. And Yankee scum. Mets have had enough of them. We don't need that, and he's a jerk. Uh, uh, Gardner to a certain degree. So I would stay away from him. But let me see here. Again, like I said, I'm a big fan of Trevor Story. I I think he would be very good here. I don't know what kind of clubhouse guy he is. The Mets have done a great job of bringing in all these very good clubhouse guys. He's a guy to consider. Now, I would mention this about Kris Bryant. I read an article about him um, last offseason, and he was complaining about how there's a lot of pressure on him in Chicago, and he complained about how the fans there and the media there are very demanding, which I thought was kind of odd because it's Chicago. Very weird. From Anthony, you think this guy Kanye they got from the A's is starting outfielder for them, or could they bring in Schwarber to compliment to him? No, he's going to start. The Mets need a guy. They can consider him an high on base guy. He hits home runs, and he's a very good athlete and a very good outfielder. That's why they brought him in here. Schwarber, I don't see the Mets really moving for Schwarber. I wouldn't mind bringing Schwarber, but he's a left fielder. He's not a right fielder. Kanye is going to be the right fielder on this team. Um, it's interesting they let Michael go. So it makes you wonder what kind of presence Michael Conforto was in the Mets uh, clubhouse. But yeah, I don't see that bringing Schwarber. Maybe before they made all these moves, I was kind of thinking that they should probably consider him, but I don't see that happening now. Where have I heard Schwarber going to? I've heard, was it the Marlins? I've heard with him. I know the Marlins are very interested in Michael Conforto, so I'm going to assume that they'd be interested in him too. Let's see. Let me just see if there's anything on the side here. Now, please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe. All right. The Rockies are one team. The Marlins, this is Schwarber. The Braves, the Dodgers, back to the Nationals. The Mariners, they're going to be in on these guys. The Mariners are going to be in on Bryant, Schwarber, and Conforto. That I can guarantee you on that one. The Yankees, I don't see the Yankees doing anything. The Cardinals, the Red Sox, and the Phillies, of course. The Phillies are going to be in on these players too, on these outfielders, because they need another bat in that lineup. Let's see here. So you want me to go through these lists I got here? They're not. Some of them aren't in order. I should just jump around, I guess. I do have some controversial names on some of these on my list here. From Anthony, where the heck are Correa and Freeman going? Good question. Freeman has 3 teams on him. The Yankees, maybe, sort of, kind of. The Braves and the Dodgers. I think he'll probably go back to the Braves. He'd be crazy not to go back, but they don't want to give him a 6th year. It seems like he's starting to wane a little bit, and he's not nearly as good as he was. He didn't seem his bat did not seem as quick as it had been in the past. This past season. That I can tell you. Just from what I've seen. Now, where Correa's going, that's a good question. That I couldn't tell you. I don't know where he's going. I really don't know. I don't know where he's going. You know. I mean, I thought that the most obvious place for him to go was the Tigers, and they signed Baez. I also thought that the Rangers were an obvious place for him to go. They signed 2 of the shortstops, Simeon and Corey Seager. So that didn't happen. I don't see the Yankees making any kind of move for him. I don't see that happening. Maybe the Dodgers. But if the Dodgers weren't going to sign Seager to a big long-term contract, why would they do that with Correa? Yeah, I don't know where he's going. I think he's going to take a long time to sign. I'm sure some team will give him the money, but he wants those years. I don't know if he's getting a 10-year contract. You know. It seems like a lot of these contracts are more the 6 year, uh, you know, neighborhood with some of these guys. You know, but who knows where Correa is going? I couldn't tell you. Let me just look on the side here again. Let me look on the side here again because I got so much stuff here. I can't really show you it all. All right, all right. Here are the players. Got Carlos Correa. Who knows where he's going? Trevor Story. You know, he had some land spots. I mean, you know, maybe the Astros, maybe the Astros for Correa. Maybe he goes back there. You know, takes less money in years. I don't know. Trevor Story. I've heard the I've heard the Astros, but if he can't play shortstop, who knows where he's gonna go? Chris Bryant. There's so many teams on Chris Bryant. The Mets, the Mariners, the Phillies. Um, so many teams are on him. It's unreal how many teams are on that guy. He got a lot of he got a lot of, and the Mets were talking about him a lot. Okay, here are the teams that are rumored to be on Chris Bryant. The Cubs. Oh, the two teams that are out. I'm sorry, the Cubs and the Giants. So he's not going back to those teams. The Mets, the Mariners, the Angels, the Padres, the Rockies, the Phillies, and the Braves. Wow, it's a lot of teams. And it's essentially the kind of teams. Some of those teams are going for Michael Conforto. Would Conforto be the Mariners, the Rockies, the Phillies, and the Braves, and the Marlins? Freddie Freeman. Freddie, like I said, he'll go one of the three teams: the Dodgers, the Braves, um, or the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees gonna. I don't think the Yankees are doing anything. To be honest with you, Nick Castellanos. And a lot of talk about the Marlins. I think the Marlins are going to make one more big move. They made an interesting move. They brought in Garcia. Um, but we'll see where he lands. Um, but you got to give up a draft pick. I don't know if he's worth picking up giving up a draft pick for Castellanos. He's going to be a DH in his career. He's not going to be in the outfield too much longer. From Nicole, how do you think that Correa's friendship with Lindor lands him at third base for the Mets? You know what lands him at third base, Nicole? You know what lands him at third base? Money. His friendship has nothing to do with it. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That has nothing to do with it. Friendship has nothing to do with it. Clayton Kershaw. Where's Clayton gonna go? I said probably he'll either go. I don't know if he'll go back to the Dodgers. I don't think they're gonna bring him back. I think probably either the Rangers or the Astros. I can see him going there, and he's from Texas anyway. Anthony Rizzo. Heard the Braves, heard the Yankees. I think he'll go back to the Yankees. He should just go back to the Yankees. Carlos Rodon. I know the Mets are interested. A lot of teams will be interested in him, but he missed like 8 starts. He missed a lot of time this past season. I would not give him more than a 1 year deal. A 1 year deal, 2 year deals tops. Kyle Schwarber, I mentioned him. He's got a whole bunch of teams on him. Saya Suzuki. Who the hell knows where he's going? I've never seen him play. The Marlins could go pick him up. The Mariners, the Rangers. I know the Mets were interested in him. They scouted him, but after they signed Kanye, I don't think that's going to happen. Anthony asked me, "Do you think Mccutchen has anything left?" You know, Mccutchen, the worst thing that he did in his career was cut his hair. That's the worst thing Andrew did that he shouldn't have done, and that's cut his hair. If he hadn't cut his hair, he still would have been a great hitter. It's like Samson cutting his hair. The guy cut his hair, and he wasn't any good after that. That should have told him not to do it. He should have did it after he retired. You know, McCutchen was like a Hall of Fame player, and then he cut his hair, and then it's like, what the hell happened? I mean, really, why would you do that? Look at McCutchen's numbers. Stony 814. Hiya, Hut. You live today. Thank God. Don't know what happened last night. Well, just wasn't feeling up to doing it, to be honest with you. And there are other things I like to do, so wasn't feeling up to it. But I will be back next Saturday. in a live stream, and it might come on a little bit earlier. So let's take a look at Mccutchen. Let me look at his overall numbers. McCutchen's a 5-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, MVP, Gold Glove winner. Wow, that's pretty good numbers. Not Hall of Fame numbers, now that I look at it. Very good numbers, not Hall of Fame numbers. Let's see. Only scored 100 times, 100 runs once. Never hit 40 doubles. Only hit 30 home runs one time. Never drove in 100 runs. Not quite there. And how old is he now? He's 34 years old. How much does he have left? And it's 222 last year. I'd pass on him. How much does he have left? From Richard, Yankees can't spend big. They need to sign Judge next year. They can spend. They can spend. Aaron Judge, horseface. The guy can't stay on the field, that guy. That guy cannot stay on the field. He really can't. I mean, he's always getting hurt. He always having some kind of problem. If the guy was a horse, they'd shoot him already. They put him out of his misery. Let's see. This past year, he played 148 games. I'm not a big fan of his. He's a bit of a doofus. Strikes out a ton. 158 times. 158 times. 148 games. He's not good. I don't like him. I really don't. He's a bit of a Herman Munster type. He gets banged in the head and he laughs about it. It's the type. He had 52 home runs the first year, and as you know, that record was broken by Pete Alonso. I think Pete's a better player and a better home run hitter. He didn't strike out as much as this guy does. Other than his first year, his numbers are okay. Nothing special. Let's see. 2018, he got hurt. He hit 27 home runs, 67 RBIs. 278 batting average. OPS is pretty good. His career, but I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like him. And they say, you hit him in the head and he laughs about it. It isn't. I don't really care for him. 27 home runs in 2019, but he missed 60 games. In 2020, he only played 28 games out of 60. That's less than half. And this past year, he played 100. The guy was like having these little hangnails, and he wasn't playing. I'm not a big fan of his. From Robert, again, who cares about Matt? We haven't mentioned Matt Chapman. I think somebody asked about him in the chat. Matt Chapman is another Alomar, Jason Bay, 2 straight years on a downward spiral. Let me tell you something. When the Mets got Alomar and Jason Bay, they were good. Okay? There was no indication that they were going to collapse when they got here, especially Jason Bay. That's not a very good. That's not a very good comparison. Chapman's just not that good. And not for nothing, Robbie Allen was a Hall of Famer. He just wasn't a Hall of Fame with the Mets. He was done by the time the Mets got him. I think I'll leave this list for another time. Quite frankly, there's a lot of players on. There's a lot on here. I went through I went through every position except for the relief pitchers. When I mean list, I mean the all-time players. I have to really dig deep and really do this a lot more entertaining than I would do it right now. But and some of these players, none of us have seen. I mean, on this one list, I get for second baseman. The greatest second baseman in baseball history is Rogers Hornsby. No one has seen him. Nobody alive has seen him. And he's been dead for 60 years. And for shortstop, we have Honus Wagner. Another guy, he been dead 80 years. Haven't seen him. The only interesting list I would have here, and I think most of us have seen these guys, is the DH. The DH is a pretty interesting position. But yes, the top 9 DHs in baseball history. A lot of them are Hall of Famers. They're Hall of Famers in different positions. Brian Dowling, number 9. Dave Winfield, number 8. Hal McRae, Don Baylor, Harold Baines, Frank Thomas, Paul Molitor, David Ortiz. Now, the number 1 and 2, you can go either way. But in my list, David Ortiz is number 2. And Edgar Martinez is number 1. And Martinez is just a great hitter. But that's sort of some of the things that I have here. What do I got? I got a text message here. So I'm going to end the live stream here now because I want to have my dinner. And I don't want to keep you too long from your dinner. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. And keep an eye out for a video during the week here and on the other channel. And I'll be back again on Saturday talking about the Mets again. And back here Sunday on this channel. And we're gonna have a good time. And thank you for watching the live. Thank you for watching the live stream. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut and the Baseball Hut 2 and whatever else. So thank you, and I'll see you later.